Now for something completely different. So we've heard a lot about programmatic out of home, absolutely fantastic. And it's quite interesting that it's all been focused on OpenRTB, real-time bidding. There's another option out there. But before we dive into it, just by way of a quick introduction, is it the down button? Right-hand button. Of course it is. Knitting Media. Pleased to meet you. My name is Tim Harvey, founder of Knitting Media. And for the past 3 years, we've been working with agencies, media owners, and tech providers in the UK and North America. And a question already from Adrian.
Did you knit your own jumper? No, you got told.
There we go. Just this is the conference that answers its own questions. Fantastic. So yeah, it's been focused on the UK, North America. Not really done a lot of work in Europe, so it's great to meet everyone today. But yeah, let's talk about OpenDirect. So literally, I think this will just take 20 minutes. We're going to go through what's the same, what's different, who's using it, why are they using it, and what's going to happen in 2022. So let's dive into a functional comparison. So with OpenRTB and OpenDirect, they're actually very similar. From a media owner perspective, you can set up your deals, fully in control from a media perspective. And then from a buyer perspective, you can discover the deals, you can target the deals. And the only real differentiation between the two technologies is OpenRTB bids in real time. Well, a bid, and then 2 hours later, within those 2 hours, it'll play. So that's OpenRTB. And with OpenDirect, again, you can have that real-time buy, but you can also buy 24 hours in advance, a day, a week, a month in advance. So there's a few advantages, especially for a media where media owners do like that laydown. And then we get back to the common things. It doesn't matter if you're using OpenRTB or OpenDirect. The ad's still got to get to the media owner. It goes through exactly the same CMS scheduler, be it Scala, Broadsign, and it all relies on the same proof of play. So lots of similarities. So what's the same? As I alluded there, there's the deal setup's the same, the real-time trading's the same, the ad serving, the performance reporting, all the same. So let's just step through a few of those aspects. The deal setup. So very, very similar in OpenDirect to OpenRTB. As a media owner, you can set up your deal, or as it's known in OpenRTB, the product. And the setup criteria is music to a media owner's ears. You can set up your products, your deals, as a frame buy, as an audience buy. You can set the pacing, is it fixed, is it flexible? Highlighted there, you can actually sell things with a CPM, or you can sell these products or deals as a fixed price. And I'll come to why that's important in a second. You can, as a media owner, you can say what time targeting will allow in this product. So you can allow some people to target products by hours, by day parts, by days, by weeks. And again, with the location targeting, you can have control of that granularity. Do you want to sell a particular product or deal by a network, a location, or at frame level? You can have private products, you can have open products, and they can be guaranteed or non-guaranteed. So really, really similar to setting up the deal IDs in OpenRTB. So that point about that CPM versus fixed price, and it's interesting seeing a lot of the programmatic out of home focusing on the premium inventory. And this is an issue that's popped up again and again over the past few months. So here's an example of a premium inventory location. It could be premium retail location at an airport or a high-end shopping centre. And if you're talking about a fixed price deal, £4,000 a day sounds quite reasonable for some great screens with a great premium audience. But if you think per day, this might be 10,000 people going through there, again, 4K sounds like a good deal. But if you convert that 4K by 10,000 people into a CPM, it's £400. And that's quite a lot to take, seeing a £400 CPM turn up on a DSP or via an exchange. And it's been a real shame to see some of the SSPs putting pressure on media owners to reduce that CPM from 400 to 40. And it's not really fair. And people are saying, well, it's incremental revenue. It's money you wouldn't have got. But if that client finds out he's paid £400, while this guy's paid £40, there's a bit of trouble going on. And you've got to remember as well that £400 CPM from the media owner, by the time you've put the tech charges on it, you're probably looking at £500 or £600. So that's from the media owner perspective, fully control, set up what you're selling, fixed price, CPM, audience or frame buy. So when it comes to the buy side now with deal discovery, again, you've got all that flexibility you have with RTB. From a media buyer perspective, you call the product catalog through an API. You can discover your right product, you know what frames are in it, what network, it's very well described. And then based on what the media owner is allowing, you can target that product further. It might be by location and frame level if allowed. You could do it by the granularity of time if allowed. You can do the pacing, different shares of time, spot lengths, spot break lengths. You can target by audience profile type if the media owner has presented that audience information that way. And of course, you can target by impacts, CPM and price. So very, very similar to all the great programmatic targeting you do with OpenRTB. The difference being, once you know exactly what you want's available, you don't have to wait for a bid. You can draft that booking, option it, or book it. And then we come to the point of real-time trading. Both methods are actually as real-time as each other, because when you think about it, you've got the OpenRTB, so the time from bid to playout can take up to 2 hours. The ad gets served in exactly the same way. We like to think we've got a lot of automated ad servers, but the reality is we're relying on quite a lot of email as the ad server. Goes into the CMS system and plays out. It's the same with OpenDirect. If you know something's available, even if it's 2 hours ahead, you can buy it. They're both going through the same ad server. They're both going through the same CMS system. So there's no reason why OpenRTB or OpenDirect, there should be a difference in things not going live real time. And a great advantage of OpenDirect is not only can you do it real time, but you can buy ahead. You can buy that day ahead, the month ahead, even the year ahead. So the little Christmas present icons there. So if anyone's discovering OpenDirect in market and you come across a media owner where the ability to buy in real time is not the same for RTB or direct, I'd just like to offer independent, open, technical audit, completely free of charge, and we'll work out where the issue is. And here's a good point as well. How real-time is your out-of-home data? So it's an interesting little chart. So if we start the playout, and let's assume we've got pure real-time data, which is a great thing. At that point, if you've got live data, real-time buying is exactly what you need. What's quite interesting is a lot of data that's powering these decisions, these triggers in out-of-home. So even something like Hivestack, their device data is 24 hours old. It refreshes every 24 hours. If you've got data that's updating every 24 hours, act on it 24 hours in advance. You don't have to wait to the last minute. So if you look at data exchange data, etc. from AdSquare, that's the sort of data that updates on a monthly basis. So if you've got these fresh data, this fresh information on a monthly basis, why don't you buy a month in advance? And finally, joint industry committee data, things like Root in the UK, Geopath in the US. That sort of data is updating every 3 months. So if you've got this great insight 3 months in advance, buy 3 months in advance. Why leave it to the last minute? So it always sort of puzzled me why the whole industry jumped on real-time bidding when really the whole point of this industry is if you've got this information that's not real-time, act on it. And another key area, this ad serving, I alluded to before. This is somewhere that's really ripe for some improvement in the out-of-home industry. So in terms of not even worrying about technology, this is the critical path at the moment for really activating campaigns. So if you've got some content, you have to submit it to the media owner for approval, because the media owner usually has to run it either by the landlords or there'll be some rules about certain adverts playing next to certain adverts or playing in certain locations. And this approval usually takes 48 hours. So you can submit some content. You need to get approval from the media owner or the landlord. If it is approved, then you can bid with it. If it's approved, you can do a direct buy with it. And from there, you can apply some assignment information. You know, this should play out in these locations or at these times of day. It goes in the CMS scheduler, the broad sign, the Scala, and then it plays out. So it's a process that a lot of times is being handled on email right now, but it's ripe for automation. Some media owners have really engaged this. And again, it doesn't matter if it's RTB or it's direct bidding, it's the same process. So in terms of standards, the IAB Tech Lab have got something called AdCom. It's quite an interesting standard, and it's really striving to standardize this. So there's a common way to submit content, approve it, allocate it, assign it. Literally, this is the IAB's diagram itself, but it's really interesting how it spells out that, okay, the level 1s and 2 is about the transportation and the language, but what they're trying to do is separate the content from the transaction. So there's the different transaction types, you know, the RTB sitting alongside OpenDirect, and at the top there, they've just tried to separate the content. So the content itself can be submitted, it can be approved, it can be allocated independently of the trading method. It's a whole nother subject, but there's a few links there. But the bottom line is, as I say, this AdCom, it separates the content from the trade. It details how this can be automated in a common way, a common API, and there's some links there for your tech guys if they wish to look at them. And finally, the common things as well. By now, the proof of play. A real area for improvement again in 2022. As we know with media owners, there's two basic ways of getting the proof of play. You can connect via an API to get playout logs. And basically, we're saying that playout reporting is actually built into OpenDirect. There's a common way of requesting playout logs, receiving them. There's a common reporting format that's been created by Outsmart, the industry body in the UK, and it's interestingly seen that a lot of interest from the worldwide out-of-home organisations is adopting it. It's a reporting format that works both for classic out-of-home and digital. It's very detailed. You get that playout at a creative ID and playout event level, so it's incredibly detailed, incredibly useful. And it's not completely dependent on OpenDirect API. You can use that reporting format, and media owners can just publish these playout logs to a shared location that the buyers can pick up. It's a lot of data, and what we're seeing is this data is being published sort of 1 to 4 times today as they literally collect all those raw logs back from the thousands of media players out there and just publish them in a secure location. So that's the rawest, the most explicit raw data that can get published directly from the broadsign or the Scala or whatever it is system. And I think as a third parties, and certainly what the programmatic world is used to when they're talking about ad serving, is seeing that tracking pixel or that flag coming directly from the content when it plays. It is the ideal third-party solution. But again, as people understand out of home and some of the differences between online and out of home, the majority of media owners operate screen networks with incredible walled garden security. So sometimes there's a bit of a battle for getting third-party data signals being fired out of this secure walled garden. And a lot of the broadcast out-of-home screen networks are connected by 3G, 4G, even 5G. And the problem is it's not always a persistent network connection. If you get a lot of people, 1,000 people, or especially in the station, you might have 3,000 people, suddenly that cell goes very slow. And if you're relying on live pixel tracking to know if the content played, it won't always connect. So they certainly getting the raw logs from the players is the most reliable and clean way at the moment. But it doesn't matter if you're using OpenRTB, OpenDirect, it's the same data. So, there's a lot the same. But what's different? I try to put this in one slide, so it's very simple. Direct versus RTB, there's no third parties. there's no SSPs, there's no exchanges, there's no DSPs. No additives, preservatives, or flavourings. We'll go into that in a bit. There's no multiples of text tags, there's nothing in the middle. And it works both for digital out-of-home and classic out-of-home because you're buying days or weeks in advance. That's enough time to print off your posters. So on the Nigel Clarkson economics, rather than just concentrate on do, which is 1/3 of the whole out-of-home market, the whole out-of-home market is available on this. But on the flip side, it does require a tech investment from the media owner. You need an OpenDirect API on top of your sell-side inventory system to allow the deal, the product building, the discovery, the targeting, and the order line creation, optioning and availability. So there is a tech investment required from the media owner. And as we'll see, it's limited it to the larger media owners at the moment. And of course, that's on the supply side, but you need demand side as well. So you need demand side platforms, buy side platforms that can integrate with this OpenDirect API. Let's have a break from the words. Let's do a bit of knitting, okay? So if I was laying out a few pins, I did try this live, but I sort of ran out of wool, so we're going to do it digitally. But let's put some pins for all the media owners out there. We can put a few pins in place, the supply side platforms. There's a few fixed connections there because there's some supply side platforms just have their own exchange, and some supply side platforms have exchanges and that full stack of demand side platforms as well. So we've got media owners, supply side platform exchanges, demand side platforms, media buyers. Actually, looking at this, those exchanges as well, with the advent of these header bidding, you could probably put another set of exchange between the supply side and media owner as well. Anyway, we'll stick with these pins we've got. Enough waffle, let's get on with a bit of knitting. So as we're seeing, we've got media owners. Some media owners at the bottom there will only put their inventory in certain supply side platforms. Fancy that. But we've got other media owners who will quite happily put their inventory in various supply side platforms, and quite right too. From there, the supply side platforms may talk to certain exchanges. And then, of course, if you've got an exchange, you want to talk to all the usual suspects of these demand-side platforms. So it's quite a maze to navigate from the media buyer. In terms of private deals, I'm sure it can be navigated. In terms of open exchange, if you were a buyer accessing a few demand-side platforms, maybe you'd be bidding against yourself for hitting a certain media owner, and we wouldn't want that. So when we start to talk about OpenDirect, it just gets a lot simpler. Surely it can't be that easy. You can just be accused of just this can't be real. You're making it up. But I'm not. There's a lot of there's emerging OpenDirect support out there from media owners, technical partners, specialist buyers and agencies. Again, words, let's have a look at some of them. So on the media owner side of things, Clear Channel in the UK have got an OpenDirect API and system enabled by LiveDo Sidekick. Well done, guys. They've also made their own implementation in North America. We've got Global in the UK, have got their own implementation for OpenDirect. JSTCO use Vue. So Vue, obviously big champions of RTB, they actually do an OpenDirect interface as well. Ocean, where's the guys at Mario? They've done a great job of putting the API on top of Ocean's inventory. And a recent is Outfront in the US as well, has adopted it. So basically at the moment, great adoption in the UK where it's been there for a few years, and it's great to see the US catching up. In terms of out-of-home specialists, Kinetic use it heavily in the UK. Posterscope have really driven the adoption in the US, but they use it in the UK and North America. And we've got Talon as well that plug happily in with their systems into the UK market. The really interesting thing we're seeing now, though, is there's some independent OpenDirect buying platforms. And what these have enabled now is the Publicis Group and their agencies, Spark, Starcom and Zenith, to buy direct from media owners. They don't need to buy through specialist buyers anymore. They're literally, from a group level, buying direct from media owners in the UK. So a great initiative, and they're seeing some benefits. Let's step through some of them. Here's some of the observed benefits and why it's gaining momentum. It is the most direct relationship between the media owner and the buyer. There's nothing in between. It makes a lot of commercial sense. There's more of the client budget going on media rather than tech costs. That budget is going completely on media. There's no 20 to 40% tech tax going on. The increased campaign reliability, it sounds a small thing, but without all those moving parts in the middle, if something is going wrong, if there's an issue arising, it's really easy to sort out where there's only one person to contact, which is the media owner. There's no intermediaries in the middle. There's no finger pointing going on. And the ability to trade both classic and digital out of home is just revolutionary. So you can lay down that campaign. It's got the mix of classic. It's got the mix of digital. The classic can be laid down, those weeks, those months in advance, and the digital can be laid down more dynamically. And it's as fast and flexible as the data supporting the trade, going back to that data argument. No matter how quickly your data updates, you can react to it. So what's happening in 2022? We're going to see, very excitingly, that standardization of the ad submission, the allocation API. And that's been worked on by Outsmart in the UK, the OAAA in America, the IAB Tech Lab. So it's great to see these industry bodies really coming together and really working on making out-of-home more accessible and understandable. We're going to see OpenDirect progress. Well, I think we're currently on OpenDirect 2. It's going to move to 3. Reporting standardization again. There's that great initiative in the UK with Outsmart that's really been looked at, especially by the OAAA and worldwide industry bodies. And that's really been helped with the WOO, the World Out of Home Organization. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but it's great to see their support, and they're starting to share it with all the out of home organizations around the world. It's probably going to be Australia next, but it's great to see the emerging countries as well. Really interestingly, OpenDirect started to get the attention of some global CMS inventory partners. So I think we're going to at the moment, it's very much exclusively to larger media owners that can make the investment, larger media buyers that can make the investment in utilizing the OpenDirect API. But I think we will start to see in 2022 some off-the-shelf solutions being made available to smaller media buyers and smaller media owners. And finally, it's great to see this API get integrated with multi-channel buy-side planning and trading systems. So these are the systems in an agency that even sit above the programmatic trading teams. These are systems that do the top-level planning about what media needs to be bought. And the fact is, if you can buy it directly from the media owners, you don't need to send that to the programmatic trading team. So it's great to see it being integrated at the very top level of planning in agency holding groups. So, is that 20 minutes? It's not far off. Seems so quick. OpenDirect is programmatic out of home just as much as OpenRTB. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But neither is mutually exclusive. They both work well together. I'm not saying use one or the other. They both work really well together. We're getting growing support from larger media owners and media buyers. As I said, I alluded to enterprise solutions coming from the smaller media owners, smaller media buyers. OpenDirect means more money is spent on media than tech, really important, and that less moving parts giving that accountability and reliability. So I think it just leaves me to leave a few Christmas presents on the end of the presentation. There's some technical links there. It's all open standards. It's completely available to everyone to have a look at. But I'd only recommend it if you like a bit of JSON and HTML. But they are. Wishing you a better, faster, cleaner 2022. I think you can unlock the doors now, Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
That's all right. These chocolates are from Andy, by the way. It's not my bribe to
This is Eat Chocolate and go to OpenDirect. I just have to do a shameless plug. The actual connections for smaller media owners already exist.
I was alluding to it.
So ourselves and Mario, various other people already offer those to various small media owners. So
Well done.
any questions on what Tim's been talking about? Lots.
Oh, sorry, very short. Okay. Hi. So I was wondering, because you mentioned that the doesn't really matter if you have real-time data because you're buying sometime upfront, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case, and I wanted to ask this to Jeremy, but I'll ask you. So I think the idea there is that maybe advertisers and media buyers are driving more the need, and maybe that's a question to you. Do you think there should be a shift to buy space post-campaign or pay for space post-campaign rather than the way it is done now? So actually based on audiences reached versus the upfront campaign booking. And then in that case, obviously you need some ongoing measurement, real-time ideally, so that then you can charge based on, we keep saying we're selling audiences and you're paying by audience, but it is anyway on a kind of a projected model rather than reached.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one of the beauties of OpenDirect as a media owner, if that's the way you want to sell your product or deal, you just set that out up front. So you'd say, okay, this is might be an unguaranteed deal or guaranteed. We promise to deliver you 100,000 impressions over the week, and the pacing may be flexible, which means they could burn it all off on the Monday, or they'll say, look, you get a consistent pacing, you're going to at least get everything played out 5,000 impressions at least every day. So it's really in the power of the media owners to define that. So if that's the way they've defined it, it's very clear for the media buyer when they're buying it to understand exactly the scenario you said. Okay, I'm buying this product, I'm going to get so many impressions a day, and this is the price I'm going to pay, be it a CPM, so that just depends at the end how many impressions got delivered, or it's a fixed price, and the media owner will just ensure that they're going to get what they promised.
Tim, do you want to sit down in the middle and then you look more like Father Christmas?
I will, thank you.
If I asked you how many SSPs do we need, would there be a cynical answer or a truthful answer? Who was the next question?
Zero.
Oh,
Zero.
Oh, zero. There you go.
You're just buying directly from a media owner. I think, again, this is not against RTB buying at all. It does a great job and it's bringing new investment into the market. I always wondered why everything jumped for that real-time buying model rather than real-time and all the times in front. But I think from a media owner perspective, I think it's really hard when you see some media owners and they know the profit they're making off a panel and might be only 10% by the time they've paid all the landlords, all the costs, and it's really hard to see effectively a tech stack taking 20% of the deal. But that's only because my background was a media owner many years ago. But yeah, literally the OpenDirect model is literally between media owner and media buyer, and there's not that need for the SSP exchange, the DSP, and it's probably why you don't really hear much about it, because there's not a whole ecosystem. There's not huge marketing departments for DSPs, exchanges, SSPs making that case. It's literally the only two parties are the media seller and the media buyer.
Hi. It's a long question.
That's okay.
But maybe really short. Actually, I wanted to utilize programmatic to sell foreign companies into my inventory a long time ahead, pretty long time into the future, 3 months, 6 months, etc. And then use this limited availability that sits back and sell that for higher price. Here comes the question. So I don't need to talk to anybody but you to
You don't even need to talk to me. I mean, the most important thing you need to do is find your media buyer.
Yeah.
It might be that you don't even need programmatic to do this. If you made that direct connection with ASOS, they agree to pay the money.
Yeah.
If you want to go spend 20 to 40% on people in the middle, that's great.
If I can reach ASOS, I will just sell them myself. So I want to reach people I can't reach.
Okay.
I can't talk to. So
yeah.
This is not a solution for someone I'm not already speaking to.
Yeah.
You cancelled your LinkedIn subscription.
It didn't work anyway.
Yeah. But no. Of course, this isn't an and/or thing, and I think that's what's been doing an incredible job at the moment. So Hivestack, we've got all that inventory, and for a buyer, it might be ASOS or something. Suddenly they're discovering your inventory. They're paying a big premium for that, and who knows? They might realise that actually now they've discovered through that real-time bidding channel with all the SSPs, DSPs, that if they see that your network's doing a really good job, why wouldn't they pick up the phone and say, actually, can we buy from you direct now? So this is not an and/or technology. I think, if you get yourself on a global SSP, the DSP round, it's a great advert for your network. But I think from a brand, you'd be really interested to know, now we've discovered we can actually make some really big savings. More of that money goes on media rather than tech costs. If you've got that facility that can connect to you direct in this common discovery and buying protocol, that's why they both work really well together.
Another question here.
Frankie, then.
So one thing I was wondering, I think you make a good point. Although we have an SSP, we typically say if it doesn't have to be transacted via OpenRTB, then don't. There is no reason to. There is obviously a big uptake in OpenDirect in the UK, but I do see that in other countries it has been a very difficult conversation, and where OpenDirect actually doesn't seem to be as much as a standard as it's supposed to be. What do you think that companies like ourselves, BroadSign, or other companies in the industry or media owners could do to sort of get more adoption for OpenDirect?
Yeah, it'd be absolutely fantastic if suddenly there was something in the middle promoting the OpenDirect. Like I say, it's not a new standard. It's been out a long time. And even the UK, we saw 5 years ago, 5 different companies just implement it 5 completely different ways. It was so difficult. But what happened was the industry organisation Outsmart in the UK got everyone together. They dropped a very good-looking consultant in the mix as well, and they got everyone to.
Where's Christmas jumpers?
Yeah, bribes, Christmas jumpers left, right, and centre. But they came up with a definitive standard of OpenDirect, and the real thing was tweaking it so it really worked with out of home. So it had the concept of location, time, audiences, pacing, and it was. I'm not blowing my own Christmas trumpet, but it was it sort of clicked, and it was lucky, and it was more about we worked with all of the specialists in the UK, we worked with all of the main media owners in the UK, and we just clicked on a really good standard. And one of the things we did as well was every week, and it still goes on today, we get the technical people from the buyers, we get the technical people from the media owners, and without prejudice, and the technical partners, Live Do are there every week, Mario, and without prejudice, you get a lot of technical people on the Zoom call, and we just blast through all of the issues. Sorry, I'm sort of going down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but anyway, coming back to it, we came up with such a strong and simple to use standard that if you look at the OAAA took that standard, literally cut and pasted it, and said this is the OAAA standard. The IAB were over the moon with it, and suddenly we started to get this global adoption. So all of the lovely slide where we had all the media buyers adopting it now, all the media owners, it just started to work, and it started to build momentum, which wasn't there before. In terms of it's the right time to start adopting it now. Live Do Signkick are seeing the success. Mario, maybe it's time for another tech provider to embrace it.
And those companies you mentioned, Sapient and people, they're all publicist companies?
Yes.
Did they bring their media buying in-house because of OpenDirect, or was there another reason why they did it, or a combination of reasons?
I think you'd have to ask publicists that.
Oh, okay. So the yes then. Probably. Questions? No?
Thanks for your patience.
Tim,
It's incredibly
thank you.
technical, but thanks for, yeah. Thank you.